Since 1957, more than 50,000 young people in high school, college, and beyond have practiced conservation service with the Student Conservation Association. SCA's volunteers have aided thousands of parks, forests, and urban green spaces and benefited tens of millions of their fellow citizens. Many SCA alumni have progressed to influential positions of leadership in green professions and communities. This is SCA's story, of which you are now a part, how it started, where it is now, and our future. The mission of SCA is to build the next generation of conservation leaders and inspire lifelong stewardship of our environment and communities by engaging young people in hands-on service to the land. With the mission always paramount, SCA has become our nation's largest conservation service program for youth. Through SCA, people like you are finding conservation solutions in this age of climate change, nature deficit disorder, and increasingly urbanized populations. The SCA mission is more vital today than ever before. Elizabeth Titus Putnam was just 22 when she graduated from Vassar College in 1955. In her senior thesis, she had proposed a student conservation corps. Liz had been moved by a Harper's Magazine article that warned that America's national parks were being loved to death. The solution? Close the parks. Bring in the Army to protect them if you have to. But Liz had a different force in mind. Student volunteers could help build trails, maintain campgrounds, and perform similar duties, she reasoned, permitting park staff to focus on other priorities. Liz had read about the Civilian Conservation Corps and the wonderful work that the CCC accomplished in the 1930s, and thought about a modern-day CCC-type program with a mission in keeping with the needs of the current time. The young volunteers would accomplish tasks that would not otherwise get done. Liz's thesis earned an A, as well as a challenge from her faculty advisor to put her plan into action. Liz accepted the challenge and enlisted a broad network of partners and allies. With this support, Liz and her collaborator, Martha Talbot, placed the first SCA volunteers at Grand Teton and Olympic National Parks in 1957. After the inaugural cruise, SCA grew and evolved. SCA launched its first co-ed trail cruise in 1970. SCA played a significant role in creating youth conservation corps when it testified before the U.S. Congress in 1971. By SCA's 25th anniversary in 1982, annual participants neared 1,000. That same year, Liz traveled to the White House to accept the President's Volunteer Action Award from First Lady Nancy Reagan. In the years since then, SCA has been involved in many large initiatives such as the Greater Yellowstone Recovery Corps, an Everglades recovery program following Hurricane Andrew, and most recently, a recovery program in Mount Rainier National Park after the massive floods of 2006. SCA is not just a movement of hands-on conservation deep in national parks, but also close to home in local communities. Today, SCA is partnering with nearly 1,000 sites across the country. SCA will grow to 3,700 members in the field for a total of almost 2 million hours of conservation service this year. To support you and all of our members in the field and connect with hundreds of partners and thousands of alumni, SCA staff is spread out across the country. SCA's headquarters are in Charlestown, New Hampshire, right on the Connecticut River, with the regional offices in Washington, D.C., California's Bay Area, Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Boise. SCA offers a wide variety of opportunities for conservationists of all ages. High school students can be part of front or backcountry crews and community programs. Conservation crew members serve in groups of 6 to 8 members, plus experienced crew leaders, for approximately 1 month during summer vacation, building trails, restoring public lands, and making new friends. They can also participate in year-long Conservation Leadership Corps programs or summer community programs in their own hometowns. In 2007, SCA had active community-based programs in 13 cities across the country and growing. As you know, individual SCA internships are available for members over the age of 18. You as an intern may live and work with resource management professionals at natural and cultural sites nationwide. Our core programs involve groups of 10 or more SCA members who provide specialized conservation services in rustic and residential settings. Your work spans the conservation spectrum. So what is the range of what interns do? Land conservation and preservation, natural resource management, environmental education and outreach, scientific and technological research, trail building and restoration, GIS mapping and data analysis, backcountry patrol and support, historical and cultural interpretation, fire education, invasive species eradication, and much more. SCA partners with a wide spectrum of organizations from federal, state, and local agencies to nonprofit organizations. Federal partners include the National Park Service, the Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Fish and Wildlife Service, Department of Defense, and U.S. Geological Survey. You may wonder, given the breadth of what SCA does, how it funds your position. SCA enters into agreements for every conservation position it offers. The partner, a national park or forest, for example, agrees to cover a portion of the cost to fund your position, and SCA must raise the money to cover the rest. On average, 3/4 of the funding needed comes from the partner, and 1/4 comes from philanthropic sources like foundations, corporations, or individuals like you who believe in SCA's mission. In the last 50 years, over 50,000 SCA members have served to preserve our environment. Yet we are all seeing that the 21st century is posing entirely new environmental challenges. Global concerns are rising along with ocean levels as climate change threatens to impact our daily lives. Compounding this issue, many segments of the population, particularly young children and urban residents, are becoming increasingly disconnected from nature. And more traditional concerns, including a bloated backlog of park maintenance, are also mounting. SCA is building a national force of young people working to protect the natural world, and you are now part of that movement. As you finish your internship, you will be part of the SCA alumni community. 60% of SCA alumni are working in conservation, but all have the skills to be conservation leaders in their own communities. SCA invites you to stay engaged with us both during and after your internship. Check our website regularly. Subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter. Volunteer to be an alumni ambassador or apply to join the Alumni Council. Consider doing service projects in your own communities and sharing your hands-on experiences with others. Founder Liz Putnam was brought up to believe that land is a trust and that we are all responsible for taking care of this earth. Liz says, "The passion I feel so deeply in my heart for the need for wilderness comes in part from having visited or lived in a number of extraordinary places of this world. More and more people must share this passion, deeply feel the necessity of caring for our fragile planet, and then actively do something about preserving its magnificence. Thank you for being part of that movement, and welcome to SCA."